Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley and it's been a little while and I hope you guys are having a good Halloween. I'm going to be here with Grombrindal, the White Dwarf himself, pushing forward against the enemy ranks. On my left flank is going to be a huge component of Empire forces deciding heroically to charge forward with their masses of swordsmen in tall infantry blocks. Pretty ballsy if I do say so. It does have some nice reserves in the back that are going to be pulling up, so more halberdiers and other forces, a huge assortment of troops. And what I'm doing is I'm nestled up here on the hill, and all of a sudden our opponents, who have some hell cannons, are going to figure that my elite dwarves are going to be a nice shooting target for their guys, and they're going to start tearing my units to shreds. I'm going to put this on slow motion real quick so you can take a look at my forces here. I have 2 bolt throwers up top, and then I have longbeards and basically dwarf warriors holding the front lines. And then atop this little hill, what I have here is the Skulder Guard, which are Iron Drakes with which also have armor piercing capabilities. So these guys are very crucial. So I want to have a nice defensive ability up here. Sets of Corlers, Thunderers. I was intending to have the enemy wash upon me, but instead what I see is my ally plotting forward and a bunch of artillery shooting at me. So right out the gate, the plan is not necessarily going as I would have liked. There's also this enemy force way in the back that at the time of recording I did not notice. So meanwhile I'm focused on kind of trying to pick where I want to have this battle. My my ally decides to park himself right at the downside of a hill, not really where you want to be to greet an enemy charge. And now you can start to see the enemy start to crest. Chaos spawn coming up here. Oh god. So they're going to charge headlong into this force, some gore herds. Also charging into the Empire forces. What we do have at least going for us is a lot of numbers as well. I have Grombrindal positioned here. I pushed him way forward ahead of my lines because I wanted something very steadfast to hold this position. So I'm going to send him into this position and he's going to start knocking these gore herds into little bits and pieces. I wanted to immediately assuage the Empire forces, you know, help them beat back these cheap units and break them as soon as possible, because right now the pressure is freaking on for these guys. More units pouring in. Balthazar is trying to get in here. They do have supporting fire, so it seems to be holding fairly well. I think the addition of my Lord here is doing a lot to relieve the pressure, but Forsaken do manage to push through. So this is going on. I'm going to move to intercept with my Longbeards. Hit some of those Forsaken before they can get straight to the gunners, but it's still going to do pretty well. Meanwhile, what Chaos is doing is they're plodding forward towards me. Sigvald the Magnificent and a Chaos Sorcerer pushing forward. They have 2 Chaos Chariots staging, waiting to assault my guys, and look at the devastation that's been wrought on my dwarves who are just standing here. So great focus fire on the enemy, although my hilltop position is going to start to get some nice shots off on the enemy lords, and I have both of my bolt throwers here concentrating fire at the enemy minotaurs, because I know if anything's going to do us in, it's going to be the monstrous units. So you watch them actually kind of just chilling out there. A bolt comes in and it's going to pepper those guys, so that's pretty good for us. I'm going to actually move forward with my Skulder Guard, and they're going to try and unload on some of the enemy Lord units. And look at the freaking chaos over there in the distance. Oh my god, my guy's being torn to shreds. Crazy stuff. But here come my shots, steam shots, doing a fair amount of damage, but also to my own troops. Meanwhile, the center here is going to start to collapse for the just cheap cannon fodder gore units. First to collapse is going to be here, where Grombrindal was doing a lot of damage. In the center, they're getting a nice hammer and anvil with the Empire Knights. It's going to help them clean that up. And the gunners here, unmolested, doing a lot of damage to actually these exposed Chaos Spawn, who are on the uphill position. Actually going to be meaning they're going to be taking a lot of extra fire. The Minotaurs finally free themselves to charge through here. But once again, I come to intercept. So Chaos is going to be coming down on me. I have tried to pull out Grombrindal to face off against the Chaos oncoming onslaught, and so I'm pulling back, but in the rear, the force that I was telling you about that I wasn't keeping an eye on just storms straight into my lines, and it's going to go and try and silence my artillery pieces. Now I do have a bunch of reserve units going to be able to charge straight into the side, so that's going pretty well. But now 2 chariot forces are going to be pushed through the middle with some nice covering fire into my lines, and they're going to start to break my forces. Now thankfully I do have some of the elite slayers in position here to beat back the enemy, and so we're going to try and hold them at bay as much as we can. But god, they're doing a lot of damage. They're crushing through my thunderers, other units. My weakened forces have taken a big punishing hit. It is not going very well. Up through the center, he's repositioning his aspiring champions, which look freaking cool. I've never looked at these guys up close. Their helmets are sick, and he's repositioning them, keeping them from the main melee brawl here, and trying to get them kind of jockeying for position, looking for where I'm weak. And right now it looks like the center is going to need a lot more support from my opponent's forces. I have repositioned my 2 units here, and what they're going to try and do is free up some of my troops. A chariot does try and target them. I take one out, but the other one just marauds right through me. That's fine. My guys are just going to hustle around. And take a look at the distance, the battle that continues to happen. Empire troops seem to be getting the upper hand there, forcing the Minotaurs back. That is actually pretty glorious. So many dudes. In the center, my forces are doing not too well, with the surprise attack in the rear doing a fair amount of damage to my artillery. I've been pulled out to the sides. I finally took out these Minotaurs, and a couple extra units are now rallying, seeing off the enemy force in the rear. Warriors of Dragonfire have passed, being very, very good. And then my Quarrelers here trying to see off the remaining chariots. Back through the center, though, this is where the heavy-hitting troops are going to start to get in. Aspiring champions are getting in, and then finally he's going to try and deal with my Skulker Guard. This is where I've decided to finally pull up Grombrindal. It was a good move to pull him out of the Empire engagement where he wasn't needed. In the distance, you can see Sigvald the Magnificent there dealing death to my dwarves. One of my guys trying to get up, and he shows him his ass chaps. And the dwarf runs in fear. But I'm getting slowly overrun here. My last unit of these dwarf slayers holding strong, trying to do what they can. Dragonback Slayers dropping to 15 at this point. They do have some reinforcements. We'll see how this goes. And I pulled back Grombrindal over here just to deal with a lot of these cheap units, to free up my warriors to then rally and come back. And we'll see how this goes. But he's carving swaths through these units. In this position, my Skulker Guards were running away from the enemy Chaos Warriors just to be able to reform and turn about to meet other threats. So I've been able to get them out of the fight. And now they can go back and start firing away at enemy forces. So firing steam at these aspiring champions, that's going to be very critical. It's going to start to deal death to the Forsaken and other units on this front. So I'm doing fairly well here, holding out somewhat. Although now I'm finally going to get charged by Forsaken, although they get melted. Quarrelers here turned about for a split second, and the enemy chariots came back almost at 0 health, but bam! My Kappa was detated with that one. And they're going to come for a second round before I get anything off, and that's going to break my rear ranks. But at least it's dealing with those forces and not my main line. Meanwhile, Grombrindal tried to come back over here, pop some abilities, but Sigvald here is actually at a higher health than me, so it's very dangerous for me to keep the White Dwarf in this position. So I decided to pull out, and this is going to leave my dwarves to their grisly fate, unfortunately. I do still have a bolt thrower, which is very much active despite the assault that was put on it. And so I'm going to try and reload, and I have targeted the enemy chariots that are now at the brink of their health, and ooh, one of the shots just barely goes over. If I could take those out, that would be a huge boon for me. And over here, Aspiring Champion's going to be... God, the shiny swords are so cool. Yeah, my guys have no hope. So fighting to the last with a couple of my troops. Some of them are rallying in the back, so I'm going to try and reform them. Meanwhile, the Empire troops are just slaughtering these remaining hell cannons here, posing mightily right by these glorious... yeah, I mean, these always look like 2 giant writhing testicles. So they're posing gloriously, deciding not to come back and help me right away. Although in the distance, I really need help. So the last couple of troops on my side are going to start to rally. I only have 3 or 4 remaining men. My bolt thrower is out of ammo. He's going to be told to hold firm and just, oh, actually he has a couple more shots. Try and fire away with point blank. Let's see what ends up happening. Sigvald on the right prancing past, and hopefully I can get one more shot here. Not sure if that hit anyone. But yeah, Sigvald at full health. Grombrindal here bloodied. Gonna have a lot of trouble, but I'm pulling back with everything I've got, trying to fall back. I do now have my Dragonfire pass warriors, having seen off 3 of the enemy units. He's going to be coming back to try and save my forces. Chaos now is completely surrounding me. In the distance, they have a bunch of troops also rallying. Chariot's still alive. It is not looking good for my forces. And he is exhausted. So did a lot of work, but oh no. Let's see how we do here. 2 blows and I have only 2 guys left. Surprisingly still standing strong. Only 1 man remaining against Sigvald, and then he decides to call it quits. The Halberdiers are going to be charging forward, but now I have my Dragonfire pass warriors cheering. They have Grombrindal at their rear. And now I'm going to spread up in a nice open formation. I'm going to charge the Halberdiers in the back to try and delay their assault, and then boom, charging through the front. And a nice thing about these Dragonfire pass warriors is they have anti-infantry buff, so they are going to chew through the enemy force. Chariots, however, do push up through the center, and this is where I pulled up Grombrindal to get his nice, big, hefty attacks in here. Enemy effects are going off, but I'm able to destroy this chariot with Grombrindal's health. Another one goes down. More chariots in the back, but this is going to be where I have, you know, the advantage coming slightly back to me. Grombrindal charging forward. He's going to try and get the last of the chariots, and boom, he gets his 3rd kill on the chariot. That is a huge boon for me. And look at this flaming chariots. So glorious. I love these flaming axes. All the effects are so cool. And now we get an awesome mashup down through the center. The last of the 2 forces on either side fighting each other. Sigvald is in the mix, and Grombrindal is in the mix as well on my right side. Looks like Sigvald was going to try and chase after Grombrindal, and Grombrindal just wades through his own warriors. A bit of a coward at this point, but he's going to do a little loop-de-loop to come back around. I figured it wasn't worth losing my lord at that instance, and so what I'm going to go around and do and strike at the enemy's rear and start chewing into their formation. That's going to see them off with a couple death strokes, and now I'm going to decide to engage with Sigvald. We'll see how this goes. He's going to get a couple shots, whiff, and hit my dude, so this is a cool engagement that we have here at the last final moments. And he's going to run off. So I was able to hold my own and be victorious. Empire troops were coming in for support, but really they were just kind of cheering me on, so it was nice to see this glorious Empire force coming back to help me in full strength. But I think I had it barely in the bag on my side. It really came down to Grombrindal here at the end, the White Dwarf that you saw just smashing 3 chariots one after another. And also these Dragon Pass warriors definitely deserve accolades for their performance as well. Always really cool to see them do so well. Let's end the replay here and take a look at some of the final stats on our various troops. So yeah, you can see here I deployed 982. My ally Zazima here with 1,400 men. Look at his roster. You don't see that too often. Basically a big giant spam of swordsmen and halberdiers with some handgunners and 1 Empire Knight. You gotta admit that's a pretty cool build. Not too cheesy. Usually you see people spam Demigryph Knights or some of the magical abilities, but nope, he went straight up infantry with captains to help support them. And Balthazar Gelt to strip away enemy armor and do a lot of damage. So against an army like this one, these Gore herds are going to be, and Ungore herds are going to be destroyed by this Empire force. And technically these monsters could carve through this Empire force, but with my supporting fire taking out one of them and then the gunners taking out the other Minotaur, just couldn't really crack it. Perhaps if Chaos here had focused fire with a couple more of his chariot, hell cannons on this Empire blob, then they could have cracked it. But at the same time, he did a lot of damage to my elite forces, so that was pretty good on his part. Yeah, his Chaos Warriors with halberds, a lot of kills on me. Forsaken, lots of kills. Aspiring Champions, pretty expensive, not getting too much done, but overall pretty good for a Chaos build. My forces, we can finally turn to them. Bolt throwers here did fairly well. My supporting skirmishers ended up not doing very much, perhaps a waste of money, but they were the ones, recall, who were up on top of that hill and got charged by the chariots repeatedly. So didn't get to use them too much, although they did absorb some of the death from the chariots. The Skulker Guard did fairly well. Could have hoped for more kills, but the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are some of my favorite dwarven units. They always get tons of kills, just like I'm telling you, that anti-infantry bonus that they have, you just rake in the kills. 173. Longbeard's doing fairly well. Dragonback Slayers have a lot of sustain, 56 kills to their name. Grombrindal himself, 90 kills, more so than Prince Sigvald. And Dwarf Warriors here in the front lines doing okay. One of them with 121 doing very well. So overall, that was really cool. I came on the brink of defeat because of the sustained fire from these hell cannons and high damage from the chariots. And I guess just, yeah, it was pretty fair. I think it was just, if it was just myself against the Warriors of Chaos, it may not have gone so well. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this battle. I'm really liking Grombrindal and all the new fresh additions to the rosters. It really helps turn the game around. Although, admittedly, looking at my ally and enemy force, it looks like none of them are using the elite units. Well, I guess Beastmen don't have any. Surprised to see Empire not having any. But anyways, it was really fun. I hope you guys did enjoy. See you in the next one. Peace out.